So Rode has just come out with the RØDECaster Video Core, which is the latest in their lineup of all-in-one audio and video interfaces. And the reason you're not seeing it in my hands right now is because this very video actually is being recorded and technically kind of cut and edited all on the device itself, which is currently sitting over on this table, being operated by my co-host. I guess we'll call this a video podcast. My co-host, Pete. So, Pete, thank you very much for joining me.
Hey, Nick. Yeah, happy to be here.
So now we will kind of dive into what the RØDECaster video ecosystem is like as a whole, in case you're brand new to it. But if you are familiar with previous RØDECaster devices, I'll kind of skip ahead and let you know that the RØDECaster Video Core is essentially the RØDECaster Video S, only without any of the smart pads on it or dials, and you control it either through a computer, through the RØDECaster software, or, and this is the part that's brand new that we will talk a lot more about later, or via a RØDECaster Pro II or RØDECaster Duo through something new that Rode introduced called RØDECaster Sync, but we will get to that a little bit later. But Pete, part of the reason I had you on is because you did our original sort of in-depth video on the original RØDECaster, and I know you're experienced operating these guys. So real quick, just for people who are brand new to this, can you kind of give the rundown of what RØDECaster videos kind of are in general and who they're for?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of said it. It's going to be your all-in-one console for streaming or recording a live performance. So what you have on here are 3 HDMI inputs, 2 combo jacks for audio, as well as a variety of inputs for other sources that may be webcams, USB microphones. You have an SSD connection. You connect it to your computer and can control it through software on your computer. But basically what this is going to allow you to do is take a multi-camera, multi-microphone setup, plug all your devices into one unit, and essentially run your entire production off of one unit.
And what's really nice is when Rode introduced the original one, usually this sort of switching hardware is usually complicated. There's a pretty steep learning curve to it. But Rode did a pretty good job, I find, and it sounded like you agreed with me in your video, of streamlining it and making it much more approachable to people who have never done something like this, where there's potentially a lot of complexity to it.
Yeah, I would totally agree. It's extremely easy to use. The entire system is built for you to focus on your production and the content of what you're making, rather than the technical aspect of everything that goes into putting a production together. And it gives you so much latitude when you think about all of the inputs and outputs that it has, all the graphics ability that it has. It's really impressive.
But the kind of sizzle reel of some of the features that I think are worth talking about are obviously, like you said, 3 HDMI inputs, but technically 4 video inputs altogether. I believe 9 audio inputs just on the device alone. But in addition to that, you can create custom scenes in the software, do things like picture-in-picture. You can do ISO recording, so it will it'll do kind of like a master recording of all of the cuts and transitions you maybe did during your live performance. But then you also get the individual tracks that you can edit and manipulate however you want later on. Are there any other like fun highlights that you like that I overlooked?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. You have the ability to connect an SSD. It also has a little bit of onboard storage where you can upload your transparent graphics to, and through the software you can overlay all your graphics on your video. So yeah.
And like I said, the RØDECaster Video Core on the back, it is essentially exactly the same as the RØDECaster Video S. The exact same inputs and outputs in the exact same arrangement with the exact same functionality, but the front of the device is much more sparse. You literally only have a dial for headphones, and there's no other dials, there's no other smart pads, and that is kind of the biggest difference between this device and previous ones. You operate it, well, at least right now, we currently have it set up using the RØDECaster software, and so you essentially do all of your configuration and operation through the software, with one big exception, which, like I said, I've teased it a few times, but we will get to it. But Pete, can you kind of walk us through the software?
Yeah, so when you open up the software, this is basically what you're going to see. It's very streamlined, easy to use. You have your scene builder, your audio mixer, and then some configuration options. Where I think you're going to spend the most of your time is in the scene builder, and a lot of time in the audio mixer as well. So when you open up the scene builder, if you're familiar with the RØDECaster video, you're going to notice that you get pretty similar looking interface to the actual buttons that appear on the the RØDECaster video, but it's in this sleek UI here. And you can live switch. I am controlling the RØDECaster video core all through the UI on the computer here. That's going to be these buttons on the bottom. You also have the ability to create scenes in here. So, for example, I built this split screen with Nick and I. You also get the inspect button, which is an incredibly useful button that I've only really seen on the RØDECaster video. Essentially, you can hit the inspect button and live edit and get diagnostics on any of the inputs or scenes that you've created without actually affecting the program. So as I'm clicking through all of these sources, the program is staying on A right here, the one that's red. That's going to be the program that the viewer sees on the stream. However, I'm going through here and I'm live editing all of my inputs and scenes and sources without actually affecting the program, which is so key. You can do all of this on the fly. Again, I haven't really seen that feature in a lot of other switchers, but is incredibly handy, and you get it all through the user interface on the computer with the RØDECaster core.
Yeah, and that's why the RØDECaster videos have been so popular for so long, because they do streamline a lot of this stuff. But as I'm sure you've also noticed in the edit already, next to Pete, we also have a RØDECaster Pro II, which is one of the primary audio podcasting interfaces. And what's really cool is Rode has introduced it's a system-wide feature that's going to be added to essentially every RØDECaster device called RØDECaster Sync. And essentially what it lets you do, it's introduced with this product, but it'll be coming, like I said, to everything. It essentially lets you Frankenstein any RØDECaster video to either a RØDECaster Pro II or a RØDECaster Duo and control and use the interface of the audio-based RØDECaster to control the RØDECaster video. And there's so many things that this opens up. We don't even really know where to begin. And because little peek behind the curtain, we're currently running beta versions of the software because it's not out yet, so there might be other functionality we're not even aware of yet. But right off the bat, camera switching. You can switch between camera angles using the smart pads that normally you could only control the audio section or the audio features for.
Exactly.
But yeah, what else can you do with it?
Yeah, so like you said, on the device, you can essentially control the RØDECaster video core all through the RØDECaster Pro II.
And it's just one USB-C cable you just plug in, and once you have them configured, they're all set.
Yeah, so it's just one USB cable. You just plug it into the back. So essentially what we have going on here is on the faders, I have these controlling the two audio inputs on the RØDECaster video core, programmed to the video inputs on the RØDECaster video core. So this first pad here, this is going to be camera 1, and if I hit that, it switches to your camera. I have the second pad on me, and then the third on my overhead camera here. And you also get, the functionality of the RØDECaster Pro II with, its sound effects and its ability to take in audio. It's, kind of a perfect match between these two devices.
Yeah, because I already know what question you're thinking, and so I'll answer it now. Yes, when you plug them in together, it also just combines all of the inputs and outputs and kind of reads them all as one single interface, essentially. So this means that, in theory, if you have a setup like this with like the RØDECaster Pro II and RØDECaster Video Core, you can have a total of 6 XLR combo inputs. You can have 4 wireless Rode receivers as well, because you can also use the Rode wireless mics as well, just like with previous ones. You can use it with this. I think you can also get technically 23 custom output mixes once you kind of combine everything together. So this is great. I mean, I think it's pretty transparent what Rode was thinking. If you had maybe just gotten the RØDECaster Pro II to start an audio podcast and you want to add a video aspect to it, this is a very seamless way to do it. Or also, just if you want to be able to combine your inputs and outputs across multiple devices, if you don't necessarily need to have the previous RØDECaster videos where you get all of the smart pads and dials because you have access to RØDECaster Pro II, you can combine all of that as well. So they're giving you a lot of options to mix and match whatever setup works for you.
Yeah, honestly, there's a ton of people out there that I'm sure that have a RØDECaster Pro II that may want to start integrating a video part to whatever their production is. And maybe they have a video part in their production as it is, but maybe it's a little janky. Maybe you record on a SD card in the camera and then you have to bring it over into post and then edit it together. This kind of saves you a ton of time where you're taking your camera inputs, throwing it directly into your all-in-one production, making all your cuts live on the fly. And you can go back into editing and, recut where you need to if you want to, cut something in or out. But this does, a majority of the work for you, connecting all of this stuff together.
Well, actually, you did remind me, kind of on the note of new stuff that they added. Another thing that Rode is doing is adding EDL Exports. So essentially what this means is if all the RØDECaster videos would record ISO tracks, which means you could essentially take each individual camera angle, bring them into whatever editor you want, and recut them however you want. But what this new feature does, it essentially allows you to take maybe the edits that you were doing on the fly that Pete is very generously doing for me right now, and when you bring it into like DaVinci Resolve or something, let's say, it will essentially remember a lot of those edits that you did. So you can bring it into your NLE and have like 90% of the edit already done. And then you can just kind of like, nip and tuck however you want. We certainly didn't have any dead time in this video you're watching right now that we're creatively cutting around, but you could do the same. So it feels very smooth and flaw-free. So that's a really cool thing that they're adding. But this also, on top of this also, as just default features, includes a lot of the stuff that was included in firmware updates. One really cool thing we couldn't try just because this is pre-release was the NDI capabilities, where you can even just like, for instance, use your iPhone hooked up to the same network and use that as a wireless video source, which is really cool. PTZ camera control is available as well. And in the event that your podcast does not have a Peter of your own, because, he's only one man, he can only be in so many places at once. So if you want to have the ability to cut between video or different camera sources automatically, that auto switch feature I think you had mentioned before, that's available on this as well. And that's huge because it can also kind of do 90% of the cuts for you pretty accurately just by matching the audio source to a video source. So you're getting, like I said, it's the name of the product I think is honestly perfect. It is the core functionality of what the RØDECaster videos have done. And because of the new inclusion of this RØDECaster Sync feature, you can just kind of plug it into whatever gap you have in your current audio video setup. This is a pretty good setup. But Pete, did you have any other final thoughts on this? I guess this has become a podcast episode. It's a one episode podcast all about the RØDECaster video core. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, whether you're, amateur, intermediate, professional, I think there's something for everybody to love in this device. I think no matter where you're at, I think it's something to consider because you think about somebody who's just getting into this sort of thing and doesn't have all the money in the world to spend. They can get an all-in-one device that's going to do everything that they could possibly need it to do. And, you think about the professional as well, who has just about everything that they need and a great production already, but may want to streamline some things. This could be an ideal solution for them as well. I mean, you have professional graphics work in here. You have PTZ camera control, NDI camera connectivity. It has everything that, a professional can need, but is extremely easy to use and just kind of brings it all together in one package.
I am also curious of any use cases that you have either used for a RØDECaster video or that you would use with the setup, and especially now that you can integrate it with other RØDECaster devices. So please let us know if there's anything that you plan to be using this for that maybe we overlooked, and we can maybe start a little conversation down in the comments. But in the meantime, Pete, thank you very much for joining me for this and for doing all of the edits and showcasing all the features. Really appreciate you as a co-host.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I'm really excited about the RØDECaster video core. I think a lot of people are going to like it.
Awesome. I think so too. So thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, let us know any thoughts you have in the comments below. And until next time, I'm Nick with B&H. Stay creative.